Happy holidays, everybody, and Tony here with a tribute to a Christmas special from a superhero cartoon that to me was the definition of awesome, badass, cool, and indubitably epic. I'm talking about Have Yourself a Morlock Little Christmas from X-Men the Animated Series, which was released on December 23, 1995. This was directed by Larry Houston, and it was written by Eric Lewald and Larry Parr. I may not have grown up with X-Men the Animated Series when I was a little kid, but I did manage to catch this series when it was on Star World and Solar Entertainment when I was about 12 to 14 years old. And from what I managed to gather from X-Men the Animated Series, from the animation to the character designs to the plots to the overall look, feel, and scope of this show, this was definitely a thrill ride never to be missed from beginning to end. Everything about this show was really awesome, and it had that epic feeling that I loved about many a superhero cartoon. And Have Yourself a Morlock Little Christmas may not be every hardcore X-Men the Animated Series fan's favorite episode, but at least to me, this episode still managed to be fun, and I still managed to find something enjoyable and really touching, as well as hilarious and thrilling about Have Yourself a Morlock Little Xmas. The episode starts off with Cyclops, Rogue, and Jubilee singing Deck the Halls, which I thought was a very fun opener because you would never expect these guys to carry a tune, but they did so in their own little way, which also added to the overall comedic effect. Scott, aka Cyclops, remarks that his vocal resources are not really that reliable. Unfortunately, Logan, aka Wolverine, isn't really into that celebrating the Christmas cheer, and Rogue even calls him an old grumpus. Meanwhile, Gambit and Jean Grey are in the kitchen preparing for the Christmas feast, but they are bickering like an old married couple, especially since Jean feels that Gambit does not appreciate her cooking and all the hard work that she has put in the kitchen, and she just wails it on him. Beast is also excited for the Christmas celebrations as he is making his homemade cranberry sauce while reciting a few lines from Sir Walter Scott's Marmion, which I also thought was a clever and wonderful touch to make this Christmas special all the more worthwhile watching. And it also gave me a nice English literature lesson thanks to Beast. Storm and Professor X are really happy to see their fellow X-Men celebrating the holidays, but Storm still has her doubts of whether she should celebrate the holidays given a past that she has not come to terms with. Just when they thought that they were under attack, it turns out that Hank, aka Beast, had a bit of a mishap. Even though the chemicals reacted in such a harsh way, at least the cranberry sauce that he created was really delectable, and at least not all was lost. The other X-Men are just as relieved, which then leads to Jubilee, Storm, and Wolverine to do Christmas shopping. And going to Jubilee, this is the first Christmas that she has ever spent with the X-Men, and let alone celebrate Christmas as a whole. Since she was very excited to celebrate this particular holiday, she was even so eager to put up the Christmas star. And going back to Logan's, Aurora's, and Jubilee's time at the mall, while a lot of Christmas shopping has been happening, Logan ends up getting confronted by an African saleswoman about the newest perfume, which he doesn't really take too kindly to, as Aurora leads him outside to do some skating with Jubilee. Their holiday fun is unfortunately interrupted with the arrival of a crashing ambulance, and it turns out to be none other than Ape and Annalie driving said ambulance because someone was severely injured and they desperately need help. Wolverine is at first extremely distrustful at the Morlocks because, according to him, Morlocks are sewer scum. However, Aurora, aka Storm, is keen to listen to what has been going on, and it's found out that Leech is seriously ill. Jubilee also gets the memo, and they head down to the sewers to attend to him. Logan is still rather bitter that they still have to help someone like Leech. And speaking of holiday bitterness, Callisto is not even too thrilled to see Storm come back, because as it is revealed, Storm has not been a great leader to the Morlocks and had to end up in the sewers hidden away from the world. Hence this resentment Callisto has against Storm. Nevertheless, Storm is there to help alongside Wolverine and Jubilee. What I definitely loved about the underground scene was the tension between Ororo and Logan in terms of their beliefs, and it also revealed something extremely painful about Logan. Sure, Logan continued to be stubborn, and Ororo tries to convince him that he should have compassion to help out Leech, especially considering that Logan's healing abilities are extremely potent and that he also specializes in field medicine. So all of these combined should be enough to help out Leech in his current condition. Even Callisto wants to know what has been holding him back, and it turns out that Logan once failed at saving some lives. Sure, he did save a couple. One person managed to get out alive, but the other wasn't so lucky, and it turned out to be a child that was shorter than Leech. And I can interpret why he holds so much bitterness. It's not only on himself, but what he has failed to do. Considering what Logan found out about Leech's condition, a transfusion is necessary. Logan continues to be hesitant, but Aurora reminds him that if Leech were to be his own child, would he have abandoned him? And this makes Logan concede to doing the transfusion. Back on the surface, Gambit and Jean continue to bicker in terms of the Christmas meal preparations, with poor Cyclops trying to pacify all this and Rogue also trying to do her part. That is until Professor X intervenes and orders Rogue and Beast to go down to the sewers to help out Logan with a transfusion, as well as find out how Leech is faring, given that Beast is also a doctor. Jubilee and Mariana also continue to bond, and even though the Morlocks do not have that much in terms of material possessions, especially what she's found out with their extremely worn down Christmas tree, what they do have is each other as a family. They feed each other, they sustain each other, and they are always there whenever someone is down. Storm even reminds Jubilee that even though the Morlocks may not have a lot of material goods, what they do have is each other as a family, and they care for each other, which is the true meaning of the holidays. Sure, that adage does tend to be old, and I'm sure that those who have heard it many times will get tired of it. But the way Aurora, aka Storm, says it and expresses it is a firm reminder not only to her time with the X-Men, let alone Mariana's time with the Morlocks, but it's also her past that she has come to terms with, as well as Logan's past that he had to address. However, all Logan can feel are premonitions of Leech not making it back to life. Beast assures everyone that Logan's blood has impeccable healing properties, which will give Leech the boost to live. Just as all hope seems to be lost, Leech ends up opening his eyes, and it's a miracle, as he has returned back to life, and with Logan expressing gratitude that he has finally made it. Storm then abdicates her position as leader and passes it down to Callisto, and everyone joins in the Christmas celebration. Well, except Rami, who felt like his culinary efforts were all for naught, and he even shouts out that no one dares reheat Gambit's cooking, which I thought was a very hilarious moment from Gambit, and it was also a cute one at that. And the episode ends with Professor X receiving a call from Jubilee that even though she did regret not returning back to the surface for her first Christmas with the X-Men, Professor X assures her that she has done what she needed to do in order to provide a very happy Christmas to not only the Morlocks. This is especially evidenced when she gave her gifts. to the Morlocks, thus demonstrating a whole lot of selflessness and, of course, the importance of giving and not just receiving throughout the holidays. The episode officially ends with the text, "Merry Christmas from the X-Men," which was not only the greatest gesture ever, but it was also something that was extremely heartwarming, especially from a show that is usually badass and cool, such as X-Men the Animated Series. I read that there was some people who did not care about Have Yourself a Morlock Little Xmas, and I'm still befuddled as to why anyone would find anything bad about this Christmas episode. To me, it still managed to maintain how cool and how epic X-Men the Animated Series was, but also find time to squeeze in the old adage of being there for others, being there for your family, and understanding that the true meaning of Christmas is not just the receiving, but also the giving, as well as the importance of family. So Have Yourself a Morlock Little Xmas is still gold in my eyes. It maintained the tension that I loved about X-Men the Animated Series, and while it's not overly action-packed, the tension mainly lies in Leech's life or death situation, considering the condition that he was in. It was nearly fatal, and the transfusion was necessary in order for him to be revived. And this also sheds light that despite Logan and Aurora having differences in their own lives, as well as how they lived it, they bore one thing in common, and that was the guilt that both of them felt. Logan felt guilty because he could not save everybody's life, save for two. One survived, the other one died. So this guilt was ingrained into Logan to the point where he used his gruffness and his indifference towards the holiday season as a coping mechanism of all the grief that he felt. In Aurora's case, while she used to be once upon a time the leader of the Morlocks, she understood the consequences of leaving her people in the sewers without anyone to rely on her. You can understand why Callisto was extremely bitter towards her. You can understand the regret Aurora, aka Storm, had when she left the people that she was supposed to be in charge of to end up with the X-Men. Nevertheless, she took responsibility, she bit the bullet, and with Logan's help, she was able to help the Morlocks save Leech's life. And by abdicating her position as the leader of the Morlocks and passing it down to Callisto, that was definitely noble of her. In fact, that is what I truly loved about Storm in this incarnation. She was a noble figure, and she was also someone who truly deserved the title of the team mom, as she not only was every younger X-Men's mother, but she enacted on it. She may not have enacted on it with her people, and she may have abdicated her position as the Morlock's leader to Callisto, but that doesn't stop her from fulfilling her duties as part of the X-Men, and especially to make sure that the younger generation of X-Men learn a lot, not only from her, but also from Professor X. Jubilee's and Mariana's sisterly relationship was also a great highlight because it managed to make me understand how Jubilee wanted to celebrate Christmas with the family she felt accepted with, and how Mariana even reminded Jubilee that all the stuff that they managed to obtain from the surface was all from Leech, and he sacrificed his own life in order to make sure that his family had a Merry Christmas. So there was a lot going on with Have Yourself a Morlock Little Xmas, because all the characters' motives and everything they went through were all relatable, and it made me root for them from beginning to end. And the humorous moments also managed to balance out the much more heavy main story of Have Yourself a Morlock Little Xmas in a way that managed to make it thoroughly enjoyable, and it did not feel distracting in the slightest. So I still have to give a lot of high marks for Have Yourself a Morlock Little Xmas, for it being absolutely thrilling in terms of the life and death situation Leech had to go through, as well as the deeper emotional tensions that Logan, Aurora, and Callisto had to address, as well as the more humorous moments being a welcome bonus to make this a well-rounded Christmas special. And for those of you who caught Have Yourself a Morlock Little Xmas, what'd you think of it? Did you really feel that you could relate to Logan's, Aurora's, and Callisto's stories? And did you also root for them? Did you also root for Leech to recover, especially through Logan's transfusion? Was there a moment that not only made you laugh, but made you cry and made you well up with tears of joy? Or did you not care for this particular Christmas episode? Comment below and let me know. Well, that's it for my tribute to Have Yourself a Morlock Little Xmas. Tune in much later where I do a tribute to On Angel's Wings from X-Men Evolution. So until then, happy holidays, everybody!